All right. Fisherman over on the Twitch side, my favorite tech over on the YouTube side. How's it going, guys? Let's pop up. We'll go to streaming here. So, all right. What are we doing today? We are going to probably work on some of the kind of backlog of stuff I need to work on for the course. I have a lot of stuff to do. So if anybody wants to hang out with me and do that, I did hop on a little earlier than normal. Hey, thanks for that, Boris. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Got a lot of backlog of stuff that I need to fix for the courses and stuff. And if you guys aren't super familiar, you know, we got a Discord, and down in the Discord, if I go down to Writer's Room, actually, where is Writer's Room? Somebody, oh, there it is, Writer's Room. Let's see what the last thing that I put in there. I want to see what the last thing I actually put up. I want to say it was Unit 10. I don't think I ever released 11. Let's go look real quick. Make sure I got, what did I put in there? Let's go look. It was a while ago. All right, we did 8, 9. I didn't do 10, huh? All right, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would have thought I would have released 10, but apparently I did not. Let me get this out of the way. I thought for the automation course we had 10 up, but I'm probably wrong. Yeah. So, so only the labs. Okay, good. So I haven't released 10 yet. Good. All right, so at least I know where I'm at. Kilobyte, how's it going? We are just working through some stuff here. Let me go find all my stuff here. Linux group, automation course. Let's open up 10. Get that worksheet open because apparently I haven't finished that yet. Pull this over here. So that's what I'm gonna be working on. I'm gonna clean these things up. It looks like, yeah, some of this stuff is still from the other weeks. All right. Yep, that's what we do. We clean stuff up, get it all organized. Syllabus. Unit 10 was hardened Linux systems. So, oh yeah, okay. So 10 was done on that part, but I just need to finish these parts out. Okay. So there's a few things that we can do. Scott is the GOAT. Yeah. What did I miss? Scott, I want to thank you for your help to get accepted into Georgia Tech. Nice. OMSCS. What's the OMSCS program? What is that? What were you working on? Smitty said, should we be worried about AI? I wouldn't be worried about AI just yet. I think that, you know, the best way I've heard it put, man, I cannot see. You guys ever get that where your mouse just disappears? Hold on, sorry. I can't, trying to get rid of some shit on my other screen here. Hold on. Get the fuck out of here. All right, sorry. That just, you know, like Microsoft tools in general. And you guys know I tend to use like my office stuff because that's what I use a lot at work. Give me a second here, guys. Sorry, that really. I hate how like the focus will be on another window and you're on a totally different screen and you still can't see your mouse. Super annoying. Masters of CS, nice. Okay. Nice. Well, good. Yeah, let us know. Let us know how that goes, because that's going to be. I mean, that's going to be a big deal for you, obviously.
Thank you for the great information you provide.
Yeah. We're trying to do stuff around here that's fun, and you know, I mean, fun is you know the goal, but then also doing this stuff professionally, right? So yeah, Boris, and you know, you're always welcome to hang out when we're down there. I'm trying to like be online more, and then also down in the Discord more for you guys as well. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me and that kind of stuff. Justin over on the YouTube side, huzzah. Actually, we're going, speaking of huzzah, on Saturday we're going out to the Renaissance Festival out here. So me and the wife will be out there in the Phoenix area. What was I going to show you guys? Yeah, so okay, so I got to release 10, 11, 12, 13 now. Oh man, I'm behind. But I'll get those out, and then I do have to record 11, 12, and 13 still as well for the course. So like that's moving along. You know, there's all that. Text to speech, yeah. I used to have a lot more text to speech set up and turned on. I just the more I do this stuff, the less I think people care about any of that. Honestly, I think people just don't like the things that I think are interesting. I don't think interest other people the same. All right, let's pull this up real quick. What was Unit 10 in the big scheme of things here? What was Unit 10? So it was... Oh, that was last week. Okay, Shrewded environments, werewolf. Okay, so we had talked about werewolf, and then this week was securing STIG images with Ansible lockdown, and then CIS standards, which we did. These are the two talks here, or these are the two comments. Okay. And then during the week, we talked about the system build process, the deployment process, securing an image, and how we locked that down. That was the lab that we did. Okay. All right, so we got to think about, we got the lab in there. I have terms down here, so werewolf terminology that I think people should know are images, and then Shrewd environment. And actually, that's not even really a werewolf terminology, just a general terminology is Shrewded environment. I think these are things that you need to kind of know. Overlays, right? And there's two types of overlays. There's system, which are on startup, and then there's runtime, right? Is your Linux beginner playlist good if I have zero experience with Linux? I think so. The Bacon guy. I think that, yeah, I think that if you're over on the YouTube side of things, that's the best spot. What I would advise most people if they were like trying to just get started with Linux is I would go to our beginner start here section. What the hell is that right here? And these are mostly things that I think. This one's pretty good because it does touch on a lot of beginner stuff. I've had people complain, they're like, oh, it starts off with NFS though. And I'm like, yeah, but the point of these lessons, even though they were going into those different topics, were still like absolute beginner stuff. So yeah, we were talking about a tool called NFS, but we were also touching Linux and doing all that stuff. Another one that I think is good as a start too is, yeah, I guess the Linux systems admin course would be good to start as well. Although there's not a lot of hand holding in here, it kind of assumes that you know some stuff. So yeah, I'd say absolute beginners Linux is good. One of the things I tell people, because a lot of people are pretty hands-on, if you've determined like, hey, I can stomach Linux and I can do this stuff all day, I do think most people just, if I drop them in our Killer Coda environment, they can just start running through labs and taking some notes and figuring stuff out. So I am a big fan of that too. Which is like, that's not even guided. You just go do that and then like take notes and stuff. Yeah. Over the wire. Yeah. And actually, some of our guys have been going through over the wire in our, I think if you go to like our Linux chat, you don't even have to drop in there. You can just go look, or were they down? I think they were in study groups. They were down in there doing the over the wire stuff. So that Bandit over the wire, they were actually doing work in there up through, I think, 17 or 18. They might have even gotten farther this last week. I wasn't super dialed in on what they were doing, but what's going on down here? All right, anyway, so let's think about what terminology we would do. Overlay system runtime, Shrewded environment. Another one would be STIGs. What is Ansible lockdown? Right, what is that? That is a GitHub repository that a group made. I think they're called like the MindPoint group or something. I don't know exactly who they are, but they are one way to do it. Another one is just specifically using OpenSCAP, right, and OpenSCAP tooling, right. So what's OpenSCAP, and that should be best, right, like that. But yeah, we did STIGs, so that was the goal of that week for Unit 10, was doing the werewolf stuff, right? Doing all this werewolf stuff, and then once we were in there, we were hardening the image so that when we did deploy it eventually, not in the lab environment, because you can't deploy it in the lab environment, you would go, yeah. So yeah, the Bacon guy, hopefully that stuff's useful to you. We also have, I would say, somebody who's like really, really beginner too. Another one is plug in to the events that are going on. Go meet the guys at like the Bash study group, you know. We all got into Linux different ways. You know, I kind of started doing it professionally in the early 2000s because we had problems at the school district that were going to cost like millions and millions of dollars to fix, or I could just put like a SOX 5 proxy out there and fix it. And I had to learn how to do that kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of where I got my start. But like, I mean, a lot of times it's like scratch your own itch, find little projects to do, that kind of stuff, get into lab environments and that kind of stuff as well. So Kolkis does good work. Yeah, yeah. I've actually been meaning to talk to him about. I really think he should take his labs that he's done and make either like a Killer Coda setup, or I think he should do that in. I think he should do a little Lean Pub book on that, right? Just showing people how to do that. I think there'd be some value for him in that possibly. Justin, you got the LPI Essential cert? Nice, nice, nice. And you put it on your resume and all that good stuff. It's always good. It's always good to add that stuff. We're doing the automation course this weekend. I might have. I don't know if I'm going to be back in time for this one, because me and the wife are going out to the Renaissance Festival on Saturday. So we're up in the air about moving this one, but I'm going to try to get a bunch of stuff done before that comes up, right? So hopefully that's not too far out, and then get this stuff all back organized and on track. We're starting the Linux admin groups February 21st, so that's going to start coming back again. 8-week compressed schedule, and then Jared's coming to talk to us. Some of you guys have met Jared. He's been around data architecture for a while, especially analytics off of Google and like website stuff. So that's what he does. So, all right. I'm talking too much. I gotta get this stuff. Okay. Instructions, terms, terminology. I guess I could do, motherfucker. I think that's enough for Unit 10. So what I typically do with this, if we call Unit 10 good, what I do is I save it. I'm going to turn it into a save as a PDF as well, right? So PDF, boom, and that'll save it in there. And then I tend to just drop that directly into, where'd that other, oh, too many things going on. Grab our, put in our writer's room, updated Unit 10. The guys also were working on, I don't know if they finished this or not. So there's the PDF for Unit 10. The guys that were working on this, they had put in we used to have a print button and you could just print the whole book out. But I think that they recently were fixing that. So let's see if that's fixed. I know the guys were working on. Oh, up here is like a PDF. Let's see what happens here. I'm just gonna hit that button. Oh, there's all the course books. Oh wow, that thing will print the whole book for you. Oh wow, that is wow. Okay, is this? Hold on, let's look. Is this just the one book or is this all the books? Because I think, yeah, this is all the books. Okay, well, if you want 345 pages of all of the books, there's everything. You could have the PDF of it. It's always getting updated though, and it's also in light mode there. Maybe you can print it in dark mode if you want. Although it's not super hard. I don't know if any of you guys ever use the Sumatra viewer, but you can just invert the Sumatra viewer inside of the config file, which is what I do. If I could pull one up if you guys wanted to see it. I could just double click and open it up. So like you can, if you really wanted to, you could invert the color in the config. So my config is set to invert the color. You guys see that? Shouldn't be too hard to see that. And you know, because some people absolutely refuse to read things in light mode, right? Yeah, Zorgal, I think they got something there, and then yeah, maybe they produced it the one time or something. But the point is, it is the whole thing. So that's really nice that they added that up there. Because I know I had a few questions from people when we changed the whole repository over. Well, Kolkis and Chris did it mostly. When they did that, the guys couldn't just push the print to PDF in each of the different channels and each of the different books anymore. So it looks like, yeah, they probably just ran it through. But hey, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the information's there and the information's good, I mean, I thought it was more than 300. I'm surprised it was only 345 pages. I thought we were up closer to like 900 pages already, but you know, that's fine. We're just going to keep building on it and stuff like that. So, yeah, so let's finish cleaning this up then. Unit 10, we talked through that already, so I already put that lab together, so I can close that down. There's the book. We updated the website. Some of you guys were here on Saturday. We updated the website. Treasure does all of that stuff. So he builds this. This is a little Go container that we build with. We build it locally, and then we push it up. And some of you guys have seen that architecture. I think I just closed it down, the architecture drawing for that. But yeah, I don't have it up anymore. But I don't want to go find it. All right. So let's go look at Unit 11. I don't think, yeah, I didn't ever finish the questions for Unit 11. So let's go open up the presentation for 11. And then that should give me the, basically like the talking points that I want, if you want to think of it like that. So here's Unit 11. Nope, this is 12. Why is this 12? Why is 12 and 11? That's not good. Hold on. This is not, because this is networking. Well, let's go look at 12. Maybe I did something wrong here. Okay. Well, now I'm confused. Here's 11. Alright. I don't know why I was in. That was weird. Screw it. We'll just chalk it up to Scott not knowing what's going on. There's 11. Stateful, stateless node patching. Okay. Yeah, so this is properly 11 now. So, the point then for this week is to say, okay, well, what were we talking about? We were doing this stateful node patching and stateless node patching. Which is stateless nodes don't get patched, they get redeployed, right? That's like an important concept here. And that one is, let's go back over here. I know I got too much crap going on, so I don't know what's going on anymore. Yeah, so update and patch systems. Good. All right, get this out of the way. So for this week, let's go fix these discussions. And let's think about what we want to talk about for node patching. I gotta drink a lot of water. Lots of water. It's it got to 80 something today in Phoenix. That's Fahrenheit, but that's still, man. Like my upstairs right now is 79 still. And it's like the window's open. Let's see what it is outside. Hold on. It's still dropping in the 50s at night, but getting to the 80s is just, it's 65 out right now, but it's still just brutal. All right. One other thing, I gotta write something real quick. All right. So we had patching and the way that we updated services. Let's think. I guess I could add more slides to this too, because we talked about all of these things that are shown here. Like, make this a little bigger for you guys. We talked about all the things that were shown here, but we what the hell do they want? That word's definitely spelled right. Anyways, weird. Okay. Let's go with let's do this. Our first discussion post then on the topic of securing an image, right? Like securing a system in some way. Where do I not have? Hold on. Oh, I didn't put it here. Wait a minute. Well, apparently I did write up what I wanted to talk about. All right, patching stateful versus redeploying stateless, and then minimum regression testing strategy. Okay. So let's they say good writers borrow, great writers steal. Let's go steal something from our Discord. Up in our meeting notes, and meeting notes is old, right? It's been around a long time. It was 5 degrees in New York last week. Wow. My wife was in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania this morning. She just flew back today. Her and one of her girlfriends went out there to what is that? You know, the Groundhog Day. Anybody ever seen that movie? It's a great movie. Old movie, Bill Murray. This isn't too far up what I want, but I'm pretty sure. And actually, can I scroll out on this? Nope. I'm curious if I can grab. Let's grab. It's not that far up, so I'm just going to scroll to it. But it's, yeah, this right here. But I need specifically this one, I believe. Yeah. Now let's see if I can grab all this. There we go. So this is from an old presentation that I did. But I'm curious, if I take this over to here, can I? Unit 11. And we're going to do it on this one. So it'll be right here. Let's change this to Calibri body. Courier new. And then paste that in. Alright, that is not going to work. So we are going to change that paste. We're going to fix it. See if we can't get our... Gonna have to align it a little bit. So let's grab this real quick here. Little formatting problem. Not the worst type of problem to have in all the world. Alright. Boom. Two things. It's got to be Calibri body, for sure. It's also got to be a little more left. Sorry, Courier new, not Calibri body. And then let's make it smaller until it looks the way... Nope. We do need to... It needs to be a little bit smaller. And we might be able to clean it up if we make it just a little smaller. Let's see. All right. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Oh, these are fixed width, aren't they? Oh, we might have to pull some of these. I don't want to do this now. Because these were wider when I first... hold on, I have these in a better format. Where do I have them? Because I for sure made these and put them... Hold on. Hold on. We got a better way to do this. What was that? Phil's, yeah, actually the wife was out there. She was on some news, she was on news stations, but not like talking to the camera. She was like in the back of a crowd, like, and you could pick her out if you knew what she was wearing. So that was kind of funny. Hold on. Security engineering. Which course? It's always fun trying to figure out stuff from other courses. So, updating and patching systems. So Unit 5. Unit 5, I think I grabbed this as part of the PowerPoint, so now we need another PowerPoint open. And you know what, I'm just going to do it as the original picture. So here's the original patching in the enterprise pictures. We'll just grab the pictures. So, get out of here, get out of here. We're just gonna dump everything. We'll do it as pictures. So, we are going to talk to that and that for this discussion. Bless you. I heard that. Was the wife in the other room. Okay. So what the question's going to be for Unit 2, so this will be question 2, not the first one. The question's going to be review this patching methodology that we presented, or that your company uses. What? And then we come down here. And so here's the methodology. If you guys have never seen this, let me pull this up so it's a little more clear what we're talking about here. So when you patch, right, there's a lot of proclivities to the ways that you may patch in a company. But what I tend to do is pull everything down first, right? Get everything down, sync it down to my centralized patching system. Are we paying for satellite? Boom, satellite. Are we using a tool like Pulp? Are we using some type of local repository server that just mirrors an ISO that we pull down with the base images or base packages, because you can download a whole repo and just have them, and all the repo data, all that kind of stuff. Okay, is that what you're doing? Like, what are you doing, right? However you're centralized, pulling it down, and that becomes like a frozen, that becomes frozen as your, this is what we're using for this cycle, whatever that is, monthly or 3 months, whatever. A lot of companies are probably on like a 1 month cycle nowadays. For stateful nodes. Stateless nodes you can patch more often if you needed to. But anyways, so we come down, and then from there we run against the dev, then the test and the QA, whatever. Again, sometimes you have a bunch of environments split out, sometimes you don't. And then you come down here and you go into like a pre-prod, maybe even like an acceptance or staging environment. There's different names for it. And then eventually you get to production. Production can be called a bunch of different stuff too, but normally we call it production, and normally what we mean by that is customer facing, right? Like, these are the things that have business impact analysis done against them for if something happens to this company, right? If something happens to this process or this thing, these tools, these systems, it costs the company X amount of dollars per minute it's down. And that's a very common way in like systems engineering that we look at things, right? Like the cost of it being down from the company's perspective, right? Not from my coolness factor of keeping a good uptime. That's not what it is. It's what's actually impacted going to the customers. All right. So anyways, this was that talk, and now I'm bringing that talk from this is from the security engineering course week 5, but not everybody's going to have done that, right? So then over here in the discussion, we're saying review this patching methodology that your company uses, right? And then so then we might say down here at the bottom of this, what type of testing might you do in each of the environments? Would all the testing be the same? If so, why? If not, how is it different? Right? And then these are things that people can talk about. But this is how all of our discussions are down in the Discord. It's like, well, so does the dev environment get the same type of testing as like testing QA and then staging and prod, or is it a different type of testing, right? And there's this old saying about you can only fight as well as you train. There's old sayings about you're never ready. You go when you're ready enough, right? General Patton had said in World War II, a good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week, right? It's this in the infantry we used to call it it's a violence of action, right? It's just doing something, right? So where I'm going with that is, is it different? Is it different when we're up in dev? Is there a little more leeway? One thing, and I tell people this all the time, you will never get the pressure on a system. You will never be able to load test a system in dev the way that your users will load test it in prod. It's impossible. I'm not saying you can't generate load that is similar. I'm saying you'll never get the same pressure as you will from users. Users will test every edge case on accident. They'll be like, yeah, I was up in this corner and I went like this 3 times and then your website shut down. And you're like, oh my God, who was ever going to go like that on a website? And then, but users will find the most ridiculous edge cases of of anything anybody's ever seen, right? So anyway, so this will be review this patching methodologies that your company uses. One thing, I might even say this before. Do you understand the flow well enough to talk to it with another manager? You know, so you know, if a manager from like the database team comes over and asks why do my database guys have to like get off of these servers this day and these servers this other day, could you explain to them why it's like that, right? Because in the dev environment, you may be patching during the day because that's what your patch windows might look like in dev, but down in some of these other environments, now wait, the Linux team needs my resources on like a Thursday night. They need one of my database guys to be there for a couple hours to make sure that the test databases come back up. That's more pressure on a team. Well, and you might say, well, couldn't the database team that has their on-call rotation, couldn't the on-call guy just do that? Yeah, but do you think the on-call guy always wants to know that he's always going to be wasting his Thursday? See, on-call is a risk factor, right? Like if you know you built your stuff good, you shouldn't be called out. But now I'm always going to be busy on my Thursday night, like that. You see what I'm saying? That could be kind of frustrating for somebody, and for a team. Like it bears. I don't want to say bears. It causes additional stress on the team, right? For you to do that kind of stuff. So. Patching stateful and redeploying stateless nodes. So, what would we want to do here? What would we want to talk about here in the systems world? Here's the so let's say it like this: you have been you have patched in your lab. You have patched a werewolf image, right? You compare that against how you've patched running systems and think about the differences. Can you, whoops, one will be, can you enumerate the differences between live system patching and image patching? What are the similarities? Right, what are the similarities between? There's differences, but what are also the similarities? Also, that's super funny. I didn't even realize that over on the Twitch side we had a follow from Fart Breath. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I think there were 53 Fart Breaths before you, and you got Fart Breath 54, so that's awesome. That's an awesome name. I missed that a few minutes ago, so I apologize for that. Can you enumerate the differences? We got that. We'll look at that. Let's see. Are there repository considerations when dealing, or are the types of repositories that you use different between live system patching and image patching? And then we would say why or why not, right? So why or why not? Is there a difference there? Is there a reason to have different types of repositories, or are they same? They could be the same repositories. I mean, that's a design decision. I think it's perfectly fine to have them be the same repositories that you're hitting with each, but is there a reason that they might be different, right? So that's something to think about. And then, yeah, review the images of the patching methodology that your company uses. And maybe the best way to do this is to come here and do a page break. So we go paragraph, line breaks, page break before, so that always comes up together like that. Yeah, that's probably a little better. All right, so unit 11, we've got that. I think we can get rid of werewolf terminology. In fact, we probably get rid of all of that. The lab is unit 11, but did I build the lab out for unit 11 yet? That's the question. So let's come back over here and let's go to Killer Coda and go look. I don't remember if I did lab 11 yet. Automation lab only has 10. All right, so I got to build 11. So 11 will be patching. Okay. So I'm going to patch that system up. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So this will be my next thing to do is write that lab. So fun times. We'll get that lab written. The main things about that, it's one of my alarms to tell me to go put my trash cans down. Give me 1 second real quick. Wifey! Can you hear me, wifey? I was just saying we got to put the trash cans down. I'll go do it here in a little bit. I just got to wait until I get off a stream here. I've been trying to like make sure that I'm on at this time every night now. Probably not Friday nights though. But I'm trying to be on a little more regularly for people that want to hang out and talk about stuff. So it's 5 degrees, good stuff you're doing. Yeah. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. All right, so I gotta get that going. This is also not the right link for this anymore. We don't need the Kubernetes core module. Technically, I mean, we don't need those things every week, but where I could take some of these from, some of the patching terms are the same, or the patching terms that I would want people to know are the same types of ones that would show up in this worksheet. So let's go look at this worksheet. And I might say some of these things would be useful to understand as well. So put that down here under like terminology. There you go. Let's go back over to home, paragraph, move over there more. Perfect. All right. So this one we can't do yet because we got to fix the lab up. So we could write the lab. I mean that's always an option, right? I'm very behind on things, so I could just do the lab while we're sitting here. Have any of you guys ever? I don't know if anybody here has ever wanted to write a Killer Coda lab. You guys want to see how to make a lab in Killer Coda in case you were like, oh, I have interesting things that I want to teach people how to do. You guys know you can make them for free out there, right? Killer Coda is a free site, free for you to build your own labs. Pretty straightforward to do. You can even, if you needed to, clone my labs for examples, or, you know, if you needed them. But here's my labs right here. I can link it to anybody that wants them. People have cloned them. They've done pull requests to fix stuff for me. You know, you find like some little thing. I mean, we've had a fair amount of contributors over the years for sure. This is labs that we use to facilitate just ProLUG and people learning engineering and that kind of stuff. So the labs are all free because we build them out here. If you guys have never done it, you just go into Killer Coda and you say down here at the bottom, I want to be a creator. That's it. Right here, you hit a button, and what they basically show you is the detailed setup for how to get started. And I would tell you, don't try to go it alone. Don't try to start from scratch. Steal my stuff and change it to work for you. But it looks like this when you're inside the environment. This is my notes where I use a VS Code for this because it's super easy for me to just do over here. But let's say like a super easy Linux lab, system checking, our simplest lab. You come over here, you start off in an index.json. You write this up and say, let's do Linux, look around a Linux system, and then you have all of your steps with all of their verification, you know, where everything's at. Where do we start? Where do we verify, right? And then these are all tied up in each of these different folders with all of our text, our working text here for what the lab is, right? And then the check. Does the check actually do anything? In this case, it just moves you forward through the lab. Yeah, we just move forward through these labs. I don't have any hard checks in the first lab. But if you then saw that and you said, okay, I think I can figure that out. I can do that. There's a little intro. You can tell people hello. There's a little setup when they're finished. It'll tell them that they're done. And then if you wanted to see that running in like a live system, this is what it looks like. Come over here. You see that that's the folder Linux. Here's the Linux labs right there. And then down here, this is Let's Do Linux. It's named right here. Let's Do Linux. And then the thing says, welcome to ProLUG Linux. And it's going to start off with, you are a new systems administrator at a company. Right here, there it is. You are the new systems administrator at a company. It takes normal markdown. So like, I want to make solution big. There we go, solution. 3 pound signs, right? Solution is a little bigger as a header. And then we can break down as a summary all of solution in between, between details and details rather, we can close in the solution. So here's the solution to this lab. And if you were actually doing the lab right now with me, you would say, okay, cat etsy/release, and I would see Etsy splat release rather, and I would see everything about Ubuntu right here that I wanted to know. Uname-R, I would see everything about the kernel that I care about, specifically the version. I would see the uptime of the system. This system, that's a long time for one of these systems to be up because they sit around and wait for people to use them. Typically when I see them up for over an hour, that means killer code is not being used very much. This is up for 2 hours and 35 minutes. Killer code is not under heavy use right now. If we really started using it and people started churning through it, you would see that start to drop down. Catproc command line, I can see how this system was called from the command line. This is the command line command that was passed in when the image kernel was called and when it was started. And this would also be the same thing as like a dmessage head, like dash, I don't know, maybe 5. We would see there's the kernel command line right there. It's the same thing that called the system. We could also go verify that in like the boot grub.c, probably grub2 cfg. So I could grep, let's say VM lin is from boot grub.cfg, right? And in here I should see one of these when it was called. So there's the 90 and there's the one and there's the 51. So we're on the 90 kernel, so one of these two. That was it being called right there. And then there's probably also some other calls there, but we can see the call right there. This is useful for like if you're doing kernel stuff and kernel management, you have multiple different kernels. Now, we don't like, you're probably not going to get into this nowadays, especially if you're doing administrative work. You're going to get in and you're going to be booted on a kernel, and that's going to be the system you keep running. But if you're doing a lot of patching and moving forward through kernels, and if you're doing a lot of systems engineering and like building new systems, kernel management starts to become something that's much more important for you to keep track of, because maybe I'm flipping between this 90 and the 51 version of the kernel. That's down in the patch version of the kernel, and I'm moving between these to test. Maybe down here a driver was working, right? Maybe like an RDMA driver for InfiniBand, but up here it's not. So I'm testing and jumping between the two, and maybe, I'm working directly with NVIDIA because NVIDIA owns InfiniBand, and I have like a support case in, and I'm saying, hey, when I'm on the 6.8.0-51 version of the kernel, this works fine. All my workflows work. When I move up to this one, I start to see these errors. I start to see these slowdowns when, I'm accessing this type of data. I'm sending X amount of messages across my TCP connection or my backend InfiniBand, whatever data you are collecting about the system. You have these other data points. So anyways, sometimes you're flipping between systems and stuff like that. Anyways, there's like all these little things here, but the reason I was showing you guys this was like if somebody wanted to build labs, you guys could do it. It's not super hard to build labs. we have labs that center around the things that kind of matter to our group, right? Like our Linux group. So what I need to do is come down here into automation, probably clone 10 over down to 11, and then do the lab for 11. So that's my next thing, is I'll be coming in here, I'll copy this, I'll go here and I'll paste it, right? And then it's a copy, so then we'll rename it. We'll come over here, make it unit 11, and this will not be harden a Linux system now. This will be something more along the line over here of what would be a good name for this lab. Let's go look at Linux 11. So this one is actually called, here's the best name for it right here, Update and Patch Systems. So I really would like to call this, yeah, I guess update. Right? So this will be unit 11 now, update and patch systems, and then, much like anything else I would have done, I would be coming in here, I would close, let's just get rid of all this crap, and then close all that down, and I would come down here and get out of there, and unit 11, now you'll see that it's not committed yet, right? I haven't pushed this up, so this isn't going to be in the Git repository yet, but because I haven't added it or committed it yet. I need to come in here and I need to change all kinds of things. So this will be Automation Lab 10. It'll be not securing modern Linux, but it'll be update and patch systems, right? And then learn how to build modern Linux container in the Werewolf tool. No, this one will be patching, right? Patching Linux images and live servers. I would capitalize it all, that's fine. So that's what we're going to do there, and then we would fix each of these names. We'll still set up Werewolf, we'll still download and prepare a container image, and then probably the thing we'll be doing is we will be maybe even adding another step now. So we'll be adding a different step over here, and it will be this one will be patch a Linux image, right? And then we will copy this here, boom, right here, comma, drop this. JSON doesn't care nearly as much about spacing as YAML does, but it absolutely cares about formatting. Like, so formatting and keeping your commas and stuff in the right places are all a big deal. This will not be patch a Linux image, this will be patch a live Linux server. Right. Thing's always trying to help me out. I'm not super big fan of that stuff. Thanks for giving that Discord link there, Zorgal. Hopefully this stuff's useful to people. You guys are always welcome to come hang out, right? Like we have, did we just pass 4,600 people? I think we just passed 4,600 in the Discord. Where's that at? Members, it should say it down here. Yeah, 4610. So, you know, not everybody's active, but I mean, people are at least hanging out in a place where they can plug in if they want to. We have conferences, you know, we have tech talk. People are always in there talking about something. Hey, there's Paul. How's it going, man? How's Idaho? Is it like 0 degrees up there too? Or is Idaho not getting it as bad? Paul's one of my buddies that used to live out here. It's 45, okay. Phoenix got to 80 something today, so terrible, just terrible. And I'm going out to the Renaissance Festival on Saturday, so it's like, oh man, like oh, so everybody knows, me and the wife try to go early because Renaissance Festival runs out here from end of January through like middle of April. We try to get pretty early in the season, so it's like 70 out. Well, it's supposed to be like 81 this weekend. I'm just like, oh man, just walking around all day. It's fine, you know. You just try to. Yeah, Renaissance is going to be warm. Yeah. So we're going to go out there. We're going to have a fun time. I've got one of my favorite things about the Renaissance Festival is you can get stuff there that you really can't get anywhere else. And I have some people I want to get gifts for, you know, just like gifts for friends and stuff like that, that I can really only find out there. Like I have a buddy who's a dentist and you're like, oh, well, you can, you know, get him whatever. No, I want to get him there's one specific shop there that sells one very specific thing that I know he can't get anywhere else, and it's custom. And I'm gonna get that for him simply because he's a dentist, right? And it's like that's the kind of thing that I think is funny. And then one of my buddies just got his purple belt in jiu-jitsu this last weekend, so I'm gonna give him. I always go to this place and get like these walking staffs. They're really nice ones. I actually hold on, give me a second here. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys the ones that I have now. I've pulled these up on stream before. Give me a second here, real quick. These are like super heavy duty. Oh yeah, Paul, I'll have sunscreen on for sure. Oh, these are like super heavy duty. So, this is my purple one. So I started collecting these when I was, well, I still train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but when I was coming up through the ranks. So this is my purple one, right? Purple. And then it fell one day, and it broke the little eyelet on it. These are really nice. These are like really well done. You guys can't see it all, but that's the bottom of it. This is a full like 6-foot staff. Maybe, no, it might be 5 foot. All right, I'm gonna drop that over there. Here's my brown one for when I was a brown belt back in the day. All right, so here's my brown staff. And this one has a little bit different top on it. But anyways, so then you say, well, Scott, you were talking about presents, but now you're showing off your stuff. Yeah, but I like to give stuff like this to people. So this is for when I got my black belt many years ago, right? And then that's the bottom of it. So, and then technically I should put my little instructor stripes on it now, but I'm not going to do that because that's a little too pretentious for even me. I'm just kidding, but that's those are my little staffs that I have, or staves, if you will. Anyway, so I don't know, I'm getting far afield, but I'm gonna hit Control S on this, save it. I'll push this up, but I have to work on it a little bit more, right? Obviously I got to get it ready, and then when that's done, this will sync over here inside of Killer Coda, and then we'll have another lab. So you guys are watching me do this one lab, but if anybody ever wanted to become a creator, you can go see right here. If I go on like my Het Tanis one, I can see the last time I git commit to it. So it was, oh shoot, that's a month ago. And I was fixing some problems in there, and then now it would automatically come up in the automation labs, and it will be right here as lab 11 when I'm ready. There is one other thing to note, and they changed this about a year ago, well maybe a year ago, where now within each of these you have to have a structure.json. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to add unit 11 exactly by name right here. Right? I'll have to add a path unit 11, but I can change the order. So what I'm saying is, like, if for some reason I still wanted to have the names, but I wanted to change the order of them, I could. You'll notice in my other labs, I didn't strictly call things by names, but they are numbered. You don't see the numbers unless you're actually in the course, but like the Linux labs, they're actually numbered in a very specific way. You only find that out if you look in the book, but all the generic Linux stuff is the zeros basically. The hundreds are all of the software and service packages that we can add to Linux, and it's obviously not all of them, but the ones that I use. And then security stuff starts in the 200s, and then 300s are like data analytics stuff, and I haven't done a lot with that. I need to get back to that. And then 400s are like troubleshooting with different tools, and obviously I only have the one as well. But you only know that if you go into the actual lab, because I obfuscate that, right? I don't show it in the numbering there. So, all right. Anyways, there's the lab. I give you guys that link if anybody needed it. Let's close that down. We don't need that. We don't need to work on that right now. Klondike, how's it going? Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Paul, yeah, sunscreen is definitely going to be a must. The wife carries, she's got a little umbrella that we got out there a few years ago. It's one of these nice, like, it looks like it would be like shitty and cheap because it's like paper. It's like a paper mache, almost like a cardboard, but it's like super heavy duty, and it's lasted for years. Now, I wouldn't put it out in like the wind and rain. It wouldn't have lasted very long like that. But for sun, it's great. It's like a little sun, like I don't know, like you see people have it like a state fair or whatever. Just a little thing. Yeah, Klondike. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you, man. This is kind of what we do around here, right? I was showing some data stuff last night. We were looking at some of the labs, trying to make sure that the lab environment stays up and is working, right? So we can kind of heads up display stuff. Big idea with heads up display is it's useless if you have to scroll. Like this, I would not be able to use this in a network operations center this dashboard. And you say, well, why not, Scott? And I go, well, because if a user ever has to scroll it, it's not useful as a heads-up display. A heads-up display has to be fully contained on one page. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, just imagine, I know some of you guys have vehicles where you go in and then you have to like scroll down. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. You go over and you have to like scroll down in the little viewing thing. That's useless. It's only useful if it's like across the front and the light comes on, right? But if you ever had to like go into, I know I have to do this with my truck. My truck's from like 2019, so it's not brand new. And I have to like scroll down to other items because they don't all fit on one page. That's perfectly fine if that's what I'm looking for, but that's not a heads-up display anymore. Heads-up displays, you got to be able to look at it and go, okay, everything's good, right? And then it's considered a dashboard if it has lights and stuff to alert, right? That's what a dashboard is. So there's different, I mean, people have different terms for a lot of that stuff, but my main thing, if I was building something for a knock, is this wouldn't fly in a knock as it is. It's too much data, right? You gotta pare it down to just what you want to show your users or your support teams or whatever, right? All right. So that's where I'm stopped here then, because I got to go finish that lab. All right. So this will be lab, and this will be patch. What did I call it? What was the exact name? Because the exact name will be important. That will be, close that down. The exact name will be, and then over here, it'll get a link. I could actually figure out what the hyperlink would be right now, but we'll wait until it pushes and then I'll update that. So. All right, so I'm locked on that, or holding on that, holding pattern. I just don't want to do it right now. What else do we got? I don't really have anything that I want to go over. Let's see. Oh, let me show you guys this, because I know some people got here late. In our server, we have a whole bunch of different channels. You guys are always welcome to hang out in any of them. We do have a bunch of events coming up. I was mentioning this earlier. Got a bash study group every Saturday. They've been working through Over the Wire. I know that they've been doing a lot of that stuff, and that's been getting people interested. There's also a fair amount of Kolkus runs that. He does a fair amount of just working on, generic bash scripts that do different things, do backups, do API calls. Like, he works on a bunch of different stuff. So there's a lot of like little mini projects for you guys to work on. We've got the automation course we're going into this week, should be week 14, I think. But again, I might have to push that back a little bit, or maybe even do it on Sunday, because I'm going to be at the Renaissance Festival. So this one might get pushed back this weekend. Let me see. Can I edit just this one? Yeah. I don't know if I can edit just this one. Maybe I could push it back to like 7 that night, because I'll be back. I should be back by then. All right, automation course study group. These are for people that are studying and working through that stuff. So I'm going to get all this stuff updated so you guys have that. And then, writer's room. Anybody that's interested in getting like pretty involved, the writer's room guys, they put the books together. So if you're ever like, hey, I want to put a book together that looks like this, they're the guys that do it all. So this is all, this is all our course stuff here. If you go all the way back to just home here, you say, okay, here's the ProLUG, kind of the, this is right off the GitHub page, right? And you go look at all this different stuff here, and you go and you get, here's our little Discord if you guys want to join there, and you just start right into the books here. Boom, getting started. Oops. Should be able to go down right here. Yeah, it looks like they have some basic stuff up here. Start here playlist, so that's kind of good. How you qualify for the certification if you guys do want to do the course and get the cool little certs. I don't know if some of you guys have seen the certs before, but they look like this. We've not given many of these out. Where's that? Where's my most recent one? I think I have me in here. Yeah, you can go here and you can verify, and you can see. This normally looks better in light mode, but that's my verification link right there. And that link I could put on like a job, like on a resume, and if they click it, it'll show that I completed the ProLUG's administration. I'm surprised they call it enterprise. That's fine, but like Linux administration, right? Then we also have the security engineering one, and then the automation engineering one is coming up. So, you know, I don't know. It's maybe just something that looks good on a resume if you don't have anything. It's just one more thing that you've participated in and done. Also, it says when I completed it. It says it's valid. The issuer was ProLUG. These got automated, so Treasure automated all of this now. So like everything in the site and the design of these and the deployment of these is all automated, which is kind of cool. I think the one that he gives you, like when he prints it, has my signature on it too. So that's kind of cool. I think that was a project that that Treasure really wanted to do for the group. So he also runs the web page, although I maintain it here. But he's the guy who wrote all this stuff. Yeah. We got to update it for 2026 as well. All right. Anyways, what else do we got here? Unit 12 here is set up, right? Configuring networking stuff. That's all done. But then I have to go and I have to do the same thing again with the worksheet for that as well. So, man, a lot of stuff to do. So what do we want to do? I should move over to this while we're figuring out what we want to do. What do we want to do? You guys want to tell me about how snowed in everybody is? I'm sure quite a few people here have gotten some snow, and we want to see who's got the most snowed in. No snow there. King Buns, aren't you up in you're still up in the Colorado area, right? If I recall correctly. Denver's dry as a bone. Okay. Fair enough. Zorgold said it was up in 70. Yeah, it was I think got to 80. It was 84 yesterday. I don't know what it got to today, but it was at least 80 today. I can actually check. Hold on. Some of you guys know I work for NOAA, so I have to deal with a lot of that stuff. Oh shoot, it's 84 today is what it got to. Tomorrow's 85, and then hopefully Saturday says it's only 81. I mean, we can hope, but I'm not sitting in one of these. I'm not sitting in this winter wonderland. That's not me. Yeah, Zorgol. Yeah, this is like the stupidest little. I can actually turn on the sand art too, so you guys can actually that little sand art is drawing in real time. I know some people are probably wondering about the hell's that little sand thing. That thing's drawing in real time. I think I need to fix maybe the lighting on that or something, but yeah, that thing's definitely drawing. That little ball is definitely just running around and doing stuff. So. Yeah, he's watching fish on TV. That's the other thing too. Yeah. This was just a stupid little thing that I had generated. It's ridiculous. It's not as ridiculous as the other one though, but I never turned that. I actually should add myself in the other one. Hold on, you know what? I can actually do that. Hold on. Let me duplicate this scene. Let's call it Cozy Scene 2. That's fine. That's a perfect name. Maybe we need to rename this to. Hold on, so, alright, now I'm in Cozy Scene 2. I'm going to rename this real quick, hold on. We're going to call this Data Center. Cozy Data Center. You don't normally edit these while like it's live, but I'll do it for this one because I think it's funny. Where is my Cozy Linux background? Let me find the properties on this and change this background image. Hold on a second. I have an image that I made the other day. Where is that at? Did I not download? Hold on. I don't know if I downloaded it. I think it downloads. It's actually funny. I should jump behind some of these other images too. Hold on. I don't see it. Where is that? I have it in the Discord. Hold on. I for sure put it in the Discord. Hold on. You guys are probably like, this guy's insane. I know I'm insane. I know I am. Save image. Put it in downloads. Cozy Data Center. And we'll go back to there. Cut this. Go back to where we were. There we go. Now we just need to put, hold on, now we just need to put me. Where are we at here? We need to fit this better. Ah, well. I can do that later. Move me down here somewhere. So it looks like I'm yelling at them. Get back to work, you guys. Make me a little bigger. My little black rectangle back behind me. That's not too bad. Alright, anyways. That's, we can watch them fight around in the data. This could be when we're like popping over to the data center. I can move this over here like this. Me over here. Maybe I'll add another source for when I'm doing data center work, and then I'll have the just over on the side over there. I'll have all my stuff going on with the. I'll put my bash window over there, and you guys just see me do bash stuff the whole time. I think that would be a fine little scene. Well, you guys will be like, "What the hell's this guy doing? Who even knows anymore? Who even knows?" I had to explain to my brothers what the common term of something is now for the kids, so that's a little awkward. All right. Oh yeah. So there's the image that I had made a while back. All right. Yeah, guys, I don't even know where I am anymore. I think I'm too squirrely right now to stay focused on anything. But the Discord tends to be a little more serious of a place than hanging out here. Here we just kind of mess around and do whatever we want. You know, we're not super serious here, but I do try to get some stuff worked on and built. What we did get done today is we got the unit 11 in the writer's room. So unit 10's in writer's room. So those guys have that now at least. King Bun said, so Fedora ships with Fedora Workstation, Firewall D zone that is open 10.25.655.35. Realistically, how bad is that? If not much is running behind to bind to those ports. So King Buns, that firewall being open like that is actually, it's not reflexive, but we sometimes call that in the networking world a reflexive. So what that typically is when you leave all those open is like when I talk out on port 80, the system doesn't talk back to me on port 80, right? Like I don't have a web server open and that web server is not going to talk to me on 80. So what happens is when I send a connection on port 80, on my side for the sender's port, I'll put like TCP 5047 or something, and it'll go out, and then when it comes back, it has to be allowed through that firewall. So sorry, King Buns, I was just seeing your question now, but that's why the 1025. So 0 to 1024, well 0 to 1023 are your well-known ports. I don't know why 1024 is not included, but then 1025 and up are your they're typically, we call them reserved ports over, what do we call them, reserved ports over some amount, but typically that's why those would be open, King Buns, is because your system isn't listening on them, so it's safe, but only when they come back do they come. Oh, by the way, I can show you guys how you would know where these are. You would just say head, or you would just more on Etsy services, and there's actually a write-up right at the top that tells you how the ports are assigned. And it should be right here. Well-known ports are 0 to 1023. The registered ports are from there to all the way up to the top. And then the dynamic and or private ports are even higher. But your system will typically pick, like if I were to just go on this box right now and say netstat or SS and TULP, right? I would see these are the services that are open. There's also the same on a Windows box, but let's just do SS. SS will show everything. And these are all the connections that are established or allowed to come back. Where are we at? Hold on. Should be... Yeah. So like SSH. So this was my SSH over to the 245 server. Actually, this is to myself, apparently. And, oh no, this is over to 1147 or 11.47. And this is the 6054 that he's going to use to talk back to me. So SSH isn't a two-way port 22. It's only 22 out to when I connect. And the port coming back is 6,000, 7,000, 9, who knows? I don't know. You would only know that if you came and looked at this and saw what was established. Yeah, no, they're called registered ports typically. And a lot of people in that case, they're just calling it all the way up through 65.535. So yeah. That's what it is. And the well-known ports are typically all used up, but they're also, in any Linux box, they're always defined in Etsy services. And sometimes I show you guys this, like we can come in here, right? I can VI my Etsy services. I wouldn't advise doing this, guys, often, but I can go to my Etsy services. I can go to like port 22. And then let's just go right here. So here's TCP and UDP. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to comment this. And then I'm going to say YYP to make a new one. And I'm going to make this one, we'll just call this one Scott SSH, right? So now watch this real quick. I'm going to SS-NTULP on my ports. And I'm going to see them forcing the port to be numerical, but I'm going to take away the N. Watch this. And now this is Scott SSH for my SSHD. And it's like, wait a minute, because it's resolving that name dynamically out of Etsy services in real time. So then I go back into Etsy services. I'm just going to go and I'm going to modify this here. Again, I wouldn't typically mess with this file, guys, on your system. I'm going to fix it and I'm going to do the exact same command. And now you see it back to SSH right there in real time. I didn't have to restart a service or anything. Every service checks that file. Every command checks that file to see how it's mapped in the system in real time. So, Zorgal, you can definitely break some stuff. Well, so here's the thing. Your system will still work fine because the things that are turned on are still turned on according to the numbers that they were started with. So you might not break the system now, but if some service checks that file or requires something to be named a certain way, which, God, I hope they would just go by their port number, but let's say they did go by that, yes, that could be broken then. Absolutely. Or if you had your own check inside of a service that your name was correct through Etsy services, yeah, but I wouldn't write anything that had a dependency on that file, because it is set right? It should be like 7.5. Yeah, it's a 6.4.4, so it's not writable by anybody, but that's still, yeah, I still wouldn't trust that as when we call about components being like loosely coupled and tightly coupled. We don't want to be tightly coupled to that service because we don't know that the behavior is the same here in my old. This is my box that's not exposed to the internet anymore. This is my old CentOS 7 box, but I guarantee you there's some differences between that and my current jump box. Right? And this was, this is up on my 9.6. I need to update this one because this is my I want to say customer facing, but this is my, exposed to the internet box right here. So yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, loosely coupled things are, if you ever seen like how trains link up, the looseness of that coupling so that they can be, because like if something got locked and then you couldn't unlock it, it's the same thing. We do that a lot with Ansible. Like when you start writing Ansible and get down into what we call inheriting roles, you don't want a role that's like 6 down that's required to look at some list that you made in the first role, right? So you're inheriting all these roles and your very first role is like set up for patching, and then all your other role, because now once you start using tagging and you want to do checks, well, checks need, okay, so we need to tag checks to that first setup and then this other one. Yeah, you can do that, but I'm just telling you, like, you'll find a use case where, like, if you tightly couple all those things and then somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to use these 3 and go put them over there, and then it breaks all over and they're like, what? Now you're troubleshooting stuff for like, more time than you want, right? Because it's taking you away from Netflix or whatever. So, you know, it's one of these things. And again, whether you choose to build things where they are tightly coupled or loosely coupled, you just need to have it documented well. Like, hey, this if I'm going to use this role, if I'm going to inherit this role, and then I go grab it somewhere else, I need to have like a README or something that tells me I need this other role because there's variables that were set up or predefined earlier, that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know. That can get really messy, and I don't proclaim to have any great way at doing that. I just tell you when I build stuff, I move the whole thing over, and then I start changing things out and making sure that my workflow is still working. And I just kind of like rapidly fail and then get it working. So I know you weren't exactly asking that, Zorgal, but that's kind of like how I do that stuff. So, all right, where are we at? We're at almost an hour. I started, well, I'm over an hour, but I started a little earlier than I was going to. So I'm trying to do like an hour a night for people at least to kind of hang out. And, you know, I'm the guy that kind of sits out here and says, hey guys, you know, there's a place you can go and you can hang out with other engineers and talk shop and I don't know, hang out. And I don't want to make it sound like it's the coolest place ever or anything, but it's definitely a place. Like if you say, hey Scott, I got a goal to get into this field and I know Linux well, or I know programming well, but I'm not in the field. We've got a lot of resources out there, or we have at least a lot of people who are in the field that I think can help you guys like close that gap, if you will, right? I can help you a lot with the networking. I can help you a lot with like the Linux and what the day-to-day job is. We have my next course coming out after the automation course, and by the way, these courses are all free online, right? But the course that's coming out next is going to be HPC. And we're going to focus on all those components of the NIST 800-223, which some of you are like, oh man, he knows that off the top of his head. No, I only know that because I've been looking at it a lot. Right, 800-223 is right here. And it's specific to this one thing that I like to show you guys, which is the, what is it? You guys all know. You guys that have been around know. It's the, right here. This is like one of the best things about it. It's like right on page 3. Yeah, right there. This is just a great high level. This is the components of an HPC. These are the areas, and I can show you how to set up a lot of these different pieces. We don't have the hardware. This is one limitation of it, is I can't, you know, we can't be doing troubleshooting on getting an InfiniBand connection working back into a switch. We don't have that kind of hardware, but I can show you the types of things that we do in an HPC world where, you know, aside from being actually at a company doing it live, you can be about as close as you can be, right? So there's that. Jerry, you said you're going to be attending the upcoming Linux admin course. Nice. Will there be any project that I can do after completing classes to put on my resume? Yeah, so there's a few things, Jerry. Typically in that course, we have a project that you guys do. There's like a final project. And the final project, you just kind of come up with something. I try to help you, but also other people will help you. Just say like, okay, in the Linux systems admin world, it's like something of like a deployment or, you know, some methodology. Maybe even write up a doc on like how you would, you know, do a stopgap to keep some system running or something while the server was filling up or something. I don't know, but the point is, it's just some project around Linux. And it just helps you to kind of figure out the job of being a Linux administrator, right? So I think we have some examples. Let me see if we have some examples here. Linux admin course. Let's go to course overview. Here's the course project example. Yeah. So the final project, let me turn off this, go rotate. So final project outline, here's the instructions. Select a topic to research a project that you're going to build, right? Something about system stability, performance, system security, monitoring, Kubernetes, programming. Something around that. Paul, we're going to start the admin one again on the 21st. Yeah, yep. In fact, if you're in the Discord, it's right here. You guys can, it'll alert you, right? If you guys aren't super familiar, you can say right here, like you say you're interested, and it'll let you know when we do it. So hopefully this one keeps everybody interested this time. We're gonna do it compressed, so it's gonna be 2 weeks at a time. So we're gonna be finishing 2 units each week. I'd say for the average person, that's gonna be between probably somewhere, if I had to guess, between 12 and 20 hours worth of work. It's a lot of work. We didn't make the course easy on purpose, right? We wanted it to be difficult. Plan the project. You're going to plan it out. Maybe go find some other stuff that's similar that's been done with what you're doing. One that would be perfectly acceptable for this under system security. I'm going to be doing a like a Bacula deploy, like a little mini one, probably like a workshop type thing. And the Bacula one would be perfect for system security. Now you're still going to have to go through the project and do it all and stuff, but the point is you're going to know how to do that part of security for, for some company or whatever. All right. Then you're going to document what does it take to build it, and then you're going to diagram it, draw it out. How does it work in your mind? Because I really think if you can draw something out, that helps you understand like the logical flow of it. And if you draw something out, that's going to help you when you have to go. Because at the end of the day, right, we've talked about this often, you can do all this Linux and be real sharp at Linux. You can do all the projects and get a nice resume and have everything cool, maybe even go to college. And who is it? Sending Grounds is sometimes around. He works at one of the big cloud guys, and he does a lot of technical interviews, and he gets a lot of PhDs in there. And these PhDs are super smart at their one specific area, but when he starts kind of talking to them about like the admin and the engineering side of the work, they don't maybe understand that because they've only been doing research. So where I'm going with that is like a lot of times people falter in the resume or in the not in the doing the Linux or the resume, but in the interview they just get crushed. And I think Sending Grounds is probably one of the nicest guys around. But in his technical interviews, if you're not prepared for that, like he's gonna probably crush you on accident. Like he's not even trying to. So anyways, my point is I want you guys to be able to talk to this stuff, be able to go, yeah, like I've built this out, so I understand the components. What do you want to talk about? All right, well, tell me about login nodes. Well, login nodes are where users access and submit jobs. Jobs then go to the scheduling manager. Scheduling manager either queues the jobs to go against the compute nodes or immediately runs them based on reservations that the users have set, typically at the login nodes. Within the login nodes as well, typically we'll have some type of bastioning so that we truly air gap the environment, so you're coming in through a separate process than TCP IP directly. That's actually a very important thing about this access zone, is when you look at this, you go, is that an air gap network? It is. And you say, well, but technically, and I say, yes, the reason it's an air gap network is there's no networking devices directly talking between these. When you come to here, it's SSH in, SSH out. That is a separate process that has been air gapped away. It's decoupled, right? Data transfer nodes are the same way. They're typically more high-speed nodes that we want the users to process data through. They typically are allowed SFTP and other protocols that we might otherwise stop. And then web portal nodes a lot of times have tools like, what was that tool I recently set up for one of we have a big hospital out here in the Phoenix area that my company was working for, and I was helping them set up the web portal. Oh, it's gonna piss me off. I can't remember the name right now of that tool. But there's different web portals that will give a user a front-end access to. Once they get access there, then they can submit jobs and put back-end resources as well. But the access zone, there's no coming directly off the network and getting to any of these back-end devices, right? I always joke around about like your tasty data out there. There's no way to get back there. But that one will be back there. Zorgal, you said cloud init sets password to no. On the console login by default, you have to turn it back on in the playbook so root can log in. Proxmox, nice. See, Zorgal, but now you will always know to check that. You'll always know to go check the etc sshd underscore config, one, right? So you'll know that it's set or not. And then two, you now know how to set it with your Ansible playbook. So, your node can come up properly and have passwords turned on if you need them. Or possibly you go, you know what, that is actually a good policy. We won't allow passwords anyways. It'll all be certificates and multi-factor authentication, and then I'm not even doing that in my home lab, but I'm saying, out in the environment, you may do that, but now you know at least where to go look and set all that stuff up. So that's super useful. All right. Anyways, I'm getting far afield, but this is what the one is. Then you're going to build it, right? So you've done the diagram, you've done all these other things, and now you're going to build the project. You're going to prove that you built it, maybe make a video of it, basically prove that you built it. And then you're going to finalize your documentation. You're going to go and if you're like me, I build this stuff over and over again. I'm like, and when I joke around about being like a very controlling engineer, it's not really a joke. I am fanatical about making sure that my stuff that builds correctly. So then I say, go back and like build your thing until it's good, right? Build it until you can hand it to some other admin with no prior knowledge and they could build it. That's the standard I try to build stuff to, even if I expect to be the one that's always building it. And then I say prepare to present. You can use Overleaf. That's a free tool. You can also use Overleaf as it's an open source tool, so you can download it and run it locally if you want to. So Overleaf is a presentation tool if you guys have never seen it. It looks like this. It's an online latex editor, and it can make really cool. So you go from like a latex, almost like a markdown. It's a little bit different, and it'll present like this on a page. So they have some pretty cool, you can do scientific notation. And on their page, which is free by the way too, you can do the code editor and the visual editor to jump between things. But again, you can also run this because it is an open source project, so you can run this in your home environment too. Finalize documentation, prepare. You can present if you want. You don't have to, I don't require people to present. But I do say, if you're going to put something like that on your resume and you're going to say you know how to do it, at some point in your life, you're probably going to have to present on that in in an interview or something. So why not do it around a bunch of other people who you at least feel comfortable with because they're doing the same stuff you are, right? And I'd say we've probably had, since we started the course and started doing this one like a year and a half ago, I don't know, we probably had 15 people present on that over that time. Maybe not quite 15. Let's say maybe like 10. And I think they're all great. We don't record them. You say, well, why don't you record them and show? Because then people aren't candid if they're being recorded often. I mean, I will be because I don't care. But all right, and then here's your deliverable. Build documentation for your project that either works in the ProLUG lab or in the Killer Code environment, right? And I can do special lab environments if you guys need. You just got to talk to me when we're doing it. Diagram of what you built should be both physical and logical representation of the system, if applicable. Then example of the running system, screenshots or other proof that you built it, and then a 15 to 20 slide presentation. That's it. So the project seems like a lot, but when you realize that I start mentioning it in like the first week, and then you got 8 weeks in this course to do it, it's not too much. But it might feel a little bit like a college project because it's not that far off from being like what I would do with a college student. Not exactly the same as what I'd do with college, but it's pretty similar. All right. So that's that. That's what we're doing over there. What else do we have? We were doing remediation and drift. Yeah, that's probably enough for tonight. What do you think, guys? Is that enough? I think that's fine. I'm trying to get on every now and then just to kind of have like a more normal schedule. People can come and hang out with me, talk shop, talk about systems, ask questions if you guys want, ask questions about what's going on in the Discord, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we'll probably call it here then. I'll drop it here on the end of stream. You guys can always hit me up in the Discord. You guys know that I'm mostly always on there. Let's see if that little ball's moving. Yeah, I see that little ball moving. There he is. Like he's drawing something. Sometimes it's zeroing out the screen. No, it looks like it's actually drawing something right now. I also realized that looks like a potato. Jeez, man, I have that on like the worst resolution of anything ever. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys later. Take care.